Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So in the last video we discussed about the representation of chemical reactions and combination reaction, and in today's video we will be proceeding with the types of chemical reactions. Today we will discuss decomposition reaction. So without wasting any time, let's start. Now, decomposition reactions are just the opposite of combination reactions, because in combination reactions, two or more reactants were combining to give a single product, but in decomposition reaction, a single reactant will break down to give two or more products. And usually, the decomposition reactions are endothermic in nature and combination reactions are exothermic in nature. But this is not always true. There may be exceptions, but this is usually the case. Decomposition reactions always need energy in some or the other form, be it heat, light or electricity, to take place. And that is why we can consider them that they are generally endothermic in nature. And as we saw in our previous videos also, that combination reactions were generally exothermic, like burning of coal. It's an exothermic reaction, but it is also combination reaction. Okay, so this is why we call it decomposition reactions as opposites of combination reactions. Digestion of food is a decomposition reaction. Yes, of course, because the more complex food is breaking down into a simpler substance inside our body. So definitely it's a decomposition reaction. Okay. For example, carbohydrates or starch are broken down to form glucose. Now, types of decomposition reaction. Number one is thermal decomposition reaction. So reactions in which a single reactant breaks down to give two or more products with the help of heat energy. So this is only the difference in different types of decomposition reactions, that different form of energy will be used. For example, in thermal decomposition we use heat energy, and this is why the name thermal is given. Now there is an activity 1.4. Now the activities of decomposition reaction are very important, as well as the observations of the activities are very important, because every year in boards some or the other question is asked, be it of 1 marks, 2 marks or 5 marks from decomposition reactions. So decomposition reactions are very important. You need to study them thoroughly. Okay. Now what is the activity? You are taking 2 grams of ferrous sulfate crystals in a dry boiling tube, and then note the color of ferrous sulfate crystal. So what happens? You will take 2 grams of ferrous sulfate crystal in a dry boiling tube, and then they are asking you to note the color. So you will note the color and then you will heat the boiling tube. So basically you have to just heat the ferrous sulfate crystals, and if you want to know the color, then initially they are green in color. Okay, and it is very important, you need to know the color. Now what is the caution? Always you need to take some precautionary measures before performing an experiment. So you are performing a heating experiment, so you should be very careful while heating it. Do not point the mouth of the boiling tube at your neighbors or yourself, because some gases may be evolved which may be poisonous. So for the safety purpose, you should always keep it away from yourself also, as well as from your neighbors. And to test the gas, or to recognize the presence of the gas, you should always waft the gas gently, means push it gently towards your nose. It's not that you are taking it all of a sudden and then you're testing it. No, it's definitely dangerous. You should always do it gently. And it is very important, at times they can give different images of the reaction or the activity, and they'll ask you which one is the correct way of performing the activity. Means in one they'll keep the mouth of the boiling tube very close, and in some they'll just do something or the other. So everything is important. You should be clear with each and everything. And now let's see the observations. The color of crystal changes from green. As I told you, initially they will be green, and when you heat them, so there will be twice, color change will be twice. From green they'll change to white and then to reddish brown. So this is important, that from green they are changing to white and then to reddish brown. We'll see why it happens as such. And a colorless gas is evolved. Now as I told you, you might be knowing that it is sulfur dioxide gas, but you cannot directly mention that sulfur dioxide gas is evolved, because you're just observing. You do not know now that what is the product. You're performing the reaction as if you do not know anything. So a colorless gas is evolved with choking or suffocating odor. It has a smell of burning sulfur. Now I've given this SO2 in the bracket so that you come to know that it is SO2 gas. But in the exams, you don't have to use the word directly that SO2 gas is evolved in the observation, because you're just observing. Okay. So then after this point, you can write that indicating it is sulfur dioxide gas, because it has a choking smell, suffocating odor, pungent smell. All these are the characteristics of sulfur dioxide gas. Okay. And water droplets are formed on the walls of the test tube. So we will also see some water droplets on the walls of the test tube. So this was the activity. Now let's see, why do we see all these observations? Let's see. So first of all, the crystals we are taking are hydrated, means they have water molecules trapped in their crystal structure. It's not free water. When we'll study acid, bases and salt, then we'll study more about this water of crystallization in detail. Basically, it's that this 7H2O which you are seeing over here, no, it is water of crystallization. So actually, what is that? It is not free water, means it is trapped in their structure, in the crystalline structure. So you cannot see it as free water, but still it is there, and it imparts color to the crystals. So the green color of ferrous sulfate crystals is due to this water of crystallization only. And as per definition, it is the fixed number of water molecules present in one formula unit of a salt. Okay, means with one formula unit, means with one FeSO4, with one formula unit of FeSO4, you will have 7 molecules of water. Okay, so it's fixed, it will not change. And this is what is giving green color to ferrous sulfate crystal. So when you start heating ferrous sulfate, so what happens? First, it loses its water of crystallization, and when it loses its water of crystallization, it becomes anhydrous. So when a salt loses its water of crystallization, means when ferrous sulfate loses its 7H2O, then we call it that it has become anhydrous. And since it has lost its water of crystallization, it loses its color also, so it changes to white. But when you heat it further, then what happens? Now this ferrous sulfate which you got decomposes to form ferric oxide plus sulfur dioxide gas and sulfur trioxide gas. Okay. Now this is what is written, and this ferric oxide is reddish brown in color. So at the end, the reddish brown color which you get is due to the formation of ferric oxide. Okay. And SO2 gas and SO3 gas are evolved in the reaction. Now another type of thermal decomposition is decomposition of calcium carbonate. Now when you heat calcium carbonate, what you will get? You will get calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So you are heating it and you are getting calcium oxide. Again, you need to know that calcium carbonate is known as limestone. This is also important, that calcium carbonate can also be interchangeably used with limestone, because it's a form of calcium carbonate. Limestone, chalk powder, marble, all these are forms of calcium carbonate. So in the exams, they may use marble, limestone, so you should not get confused. They are calcium carbonate only. Okay, so this you need to keep in mind. And when you are heating calcium carbonate, you will get calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Now this is also important, that you should know that calcium oxide is used to make cement, because in some questions they will ask that a compound X is there and it is used in cement industries for making cement. So you need to identify which compound was that. It is just given as a line, you may skip that. That is why I have given this in bold letters, that it is used for the manufacture of cement, calcium oxide. Now what will be the observation? A colorless, odorless gas is evolved with brisk effervescence and turns lime water milky. So now we saw that carbon dioxide is evolved. Now what are the characteristics of that carbon dioxide gas? That will come as observation. So colorless, odorless gas is evolved. Carbon dioxide is colorless and odorless, and when you pass it through lime water, then it turns milky. This is the characteristic property of carbon dioxide gas. Also, it is a test for carbon dioxide gas. Means how will you identify that carbon dioxide gas is being evolved? If you are not sure of it, if you pass it through lime water and if it turns milky, then surely it is carbon dioxide gas. Also, there is brisk effervescence, means a rapid evolution is there. Now another example of thermal decomposition is given in activity 1.6 of your NCERT book. So again we have to heat it. So we'll take lead nitrate in a boiling tube, and then we'll heat it by holding it with a pair of tongs. Again, there's a caution: do not point the mouth of the boiling tube at your neighbors or yourself, because it's dangerous. You do not know what will happen. So you should always take the safety measures. Now, what will be the observation? A colorless gas is evolved. Now, I have given in brackets, so which observation is for which product? So colorless gas is evolved, and this is because of oxygen gas. Oxygen gas is given in this reaction, that is why a colorless gas is seen. Then emission of brown fumes. So you will see that brown fumes are coming out of the test tube, and this is due to the evolution of nitrogen dioxide gas. Also a yellow solid is formed, and that is lead iodide. Okay. What will be the reaction? So when you are heating lead nitrate, what will happen? It will decompose. Now lead nitrate is a white solid, and when you are heating it, you will see that there is a yellow solid being formed. Now that yellow solid is lead oxide. So lead oxide is yellow in color. This is also very important. Okay. Then nitrogen dioxide gas and oxygen gas are also formed, and it is due to the formation of nitrogen dioxide gas only that brown fumes are seen and oxygen gas is being formed. So colorless gas is seen too. So that is why you see a colorless gas being evolved. Now, since you have to study thermal decomposition, that is why I've given you this table: action of heat on various compounds. Though this is not the part of your syllabus, but just to clear your concept and to make it easy for you to learn the reactions, I have given you this table, because they may not give lead nitrate and they may ask that what will happen when silver nitrate is heated. So a very similar reaction will take place, but there are some differences for different compounds based on their reactivity. Okay, so if you know that this is what happens when you heat different compounds, then you can easily make it out. Like, what happens when you heat the hydroxide of alkali metals like sodium or potassium? Alkali metals are the group 1 elements of the periodic table. We'll study in our further chapters, but just for now you need to understand that what happens when hydroxides of sodium and potassium metals are heated. So they are stable to heat, means no change will be seen. Then other metals, means in the middle order, then they will form metal oxide and water vapor. And then if you're heating silver and mercury, then they'll give metal itself plus oxygen plus water vapor. So similarly, there are different results which you will get. So you can go through this table, and it will help you in understanding the various thermal decomposition reactions, and it will also help you in your examinations. Because, for example, you studied this reaction, now you made a mentality that similar type of reaction will take place when you heat any compound. Now if in the exam they ask you what will happen when silver nitrate is heated, so you might be thinking that silver oxide plus nitrogen dioxide and oxygen gas is evolved, but no, there will be a bit change. Since silver is less reactive, so what will happen? It will not form silver oxide. You will get the silver metal directly. As you can see in the table also, when you are heating the nitrate of silver, what you will get for silver and mercury? Metal directly plus nitrogen dioxide gas and oxygen. So you are not going to get silver oxide, you will just get silver in its native state. So you can go through this table and you can understand it. So yes, this was all for today's video. Hope this was useful to you all, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get all the notifications from Learn Melody. Thank you.